More now on the ports dispute with the intervention of the federal government in the industrial campaign by the Maritime Union. Here's Paul McAleer, who's the head of the Sydney branch of the Maritime Union of Australia. Paul, welcome. The federal government accuses your union of extortion and says you're holding the country to ransom with your industrial action. What's your reaction to that?
Well, this is just absolutely hysterical, and the government attempting to use wide fear in the community to have their mates in big business, and particularly at Patrick's, ran through massive cuts to our wages and conditions. Today we're supposed to be commemorating and laying wreaths at the anchors at the National Maritime Museum here in Sydney to commemorate the extraordinary contribution of maritime workers to the world economy, to peace efforts, to our service during the war in particular, and we're being absolutely vilified with outrageous lies, and it's scandalous.
And the Federal Health Minister, Greg Hunt, is warning that medical supplies could be held up by your industrial action, and obviously people would suffer from that as a result. You've denied that this is the case. Can you be sure?
I'm absolutely sure, and the Minister is using very careful language not to get himself in too much hot water. There is no immediate threat. We have outlined to Patrick's over a month ago now that any medical supplies, medication, medical equipment, anything related to COVID or will be completely exempt from the industrial action that we're taking, which is incredibly minor. We've had one 4-hour stoppage against Patrick's in the last month. It's only been going for 3.5 weeks, one 4-hour stoppage and bans on overtime. It's hardly an industrial campaign that's, ravaging the community and the entire economy. It's just not true. We also said that we would exempt any fresh produce, any refrigerated cargo, which a lot of the fresh produce is actually stored in. It's all exempt. We've asked the company to highlight to us any boxes that have any of this equipment or agricultural products in it. They've not been able to identify one. There's no real delays. They're manufacturing and manipulating community fear in order to support their mates at Patrick's.
And yet ships and carriers are reportedly queuing outside the ports ready to unload, but they can't do that because of the industrial action. So that must be having an effect on the economy.
It's just not true. We heard yesterday that there were 40 vessels waiting to come into Port Botany. It's just not true. There are only, I think, 8 vessels can come in at any one time. There is 5 vessels at the moment travelling along the New South Wales coastline waiting to get in. They'll be coming in incredibly normally in the way that they always do. Whenever these vessels leave. I mean, it's a very busy port, and the idea that they're being held up and are at sea, at anchor, waiting for all of this industrial action to stop is just blatantly untrue. In one of the terminals, DP World, Patrick's main competitor, there is no industrial action taking place whatsoever. And at their other competitor, Hutchison, they've only got 2 vessels there a week. The idea is, it's crazy stuff.
Paul, you're asking for a 6% annual wage increase. Are you concerned about how that looks to the millions of people whose pay and jobs have been badly hit by the pandemic?
Well, we're a working class union, and we support all workers achieving justice and wages that give them the quality of life that they deserve. We made this claim last year or early this year, before the bushfires, before COVID. We put an offer to Patrick's in May of this year, which is, 4 or 5 months ago now, and said that given the situation that we're all in, we're prepared to accept the rollover of the enterprise agreement for only 2.5%, which is the outcome that we've achieved at DP World and are close to achieving at Hutchison. So this is just wild speculation, fear-mongering, and union bashing by Patrick's, which is a notorious anti-union and anti-worker company. This is a company that paid out to its CEO over $1 million in bonuses recently. This is a company that's not doing it tough. They're incredibly successful because of the hard work of their workers and their wharfies. And we want a fair share of that. And there's nothing stopping an agreement from being reached. Right now, the offer's on the table. for Patrick's to roll over this agreement for a period of 12 months and for 2.5%. So there's just so much rumour and propaganda out there that it's unbelievable. I wish there was more attention on the fact that there's millions of Australians right now who are in casual employment, who can't afford to pay their rent, who are unemployed. All of the attention should be on the government and what they're doing to protect Australians' employment and to ensure that they have quality of life. We make no apologies for fighting for the best outcomes we can, but the rumours out there are quite too much at the moment.
Paul McAleer, thank you.
Thank you.